Applying to college. So let's imagine this little guy wants to go to Yale. Well, did his parents also go to Yale? No? Did he fly his own ass all the way to Kenya just to build houses for his summer vacation? No! Did he co-author and publish a groundbreaking research paper on stem cells with the nation's wisest scientists when he was a week into his freshman year of high school? What? No? Well, if we're being honest with ourselves, 95% of us probably also didn't do any of this. And if I'm speaking from personal experience, I spent most of my summers either playing Rainbow Six Siege with my friends or hanging out at a pool with those same friends. When I'd go home though, my parents would sometimes ask me what colleges I wanted to study at after graduating high school. So me, as ambitious as I was, often try to look up videos for step-by-step guides on how to actually get into these colleges with like a bajillion other college logos to really sell the video. Unfortunately, a lot of these videos end up with the creator listing their own extracurriculars for examples, and that's when all hope is lost. What do you mean you took 16 AP classes, was the captain of a varsity tennis team, and was the president of your debate club for 4 years while keeping a 4.8 GPA? Anyways, so what I'm going to try to do for this video is give some more realistic advice on how to actually increase your chances into getting into your desired colleges. Taking my advice alone won't guarantee your acceptance to every college you apply to, but it may definitely help to do some of these things throughout high school. So now the first thing I want to talk about, the big one, essays. Unless you have the ability to write masterpieces of essays under pressure, you might want to take a good while preparing for your essays way ahead of time. And if you want it to be the highest of quality possible, I'm talking a couple months at least. The reason for this is because your essays will benefit so much from you just writing down a draft, leaving it for a day or two, then coming back to revise it with fresh eyes. By repeating this process for a long period of time, your essay will become stronger and stronger as you get more new ideas for it every time you come back. The next big thing that I want to talk about is uniqueness. There might be thousands of other kids doing the same stuff as you, but it's pretty uncommon for the experiences that you all share to lead to the same big picture. So, what do I mean by this? For example, most of the people applying to these big name colleges have probably had some volunteering experience in the past. Don't just write that you did volunteering and it was a fun experience. Think about how your experience could possibly relate to your career goal in some way. You sound so much more confident and unique in your writing when you can actually draw your own connections between your experiences and your long-term goals. If there was one thing I would really want to emphasize the most in this video, it's having a spike. A spike is basically like a theme for everything you do and say in your applications. So if you did a lot of volunteering at an animal shelter, and you're also taking a vet course that your school offers to prepare you to be a vet later on, that would be your spike. And it really helps you to stand out and make connections in your essays. The last thing about essays that I would recommend is having multiple people read them over. Bonus points if you can show them to your teachers, even if they're not your English teachers. You'd actually be pretty surprised how sometimes a math teacher could help you more than your English teacher. For the next big category that I want to go over, I'm going to talk about extracurriculars. And instead of flexing on you by listing a bunch of unrealistic extracurriculars, I'm going to try to point you in the right direction instead. This is where that whole spike idea comes back in. Aside from doing sports, which is totally up to you and is always a great thing to put on your application, it's best to be involved in things that are related to whatever you want to major in college. Of course, explore your interests and hobbies as much as you can, but it's also important to focus on participating in things that can be somewhat linked to your career interest. And if you don't find any extracurriculars that are related to your major worthwhile, then maybe that major isn't for you. Now, what kind of college application advice video would this be without some super generic suggestions about leadership? As generic as this sounds, it's true that this actually strengthens your application. Run for president for that coding club. Become the treasurer of your environmental club. Become an officer for your school's key club, just like the other tens of thousands of applicants. Even though that one's not that special, at least it's kind of a fun club. If you're a freshman or even a sophomore watching this, ask around and find out about these kinds of things right now. Don't make the same mistake that I did and only lock in once you're nearly done with your second semester of your junior year. Even though I was able to squeeze the most out of my time I had left before the application season, and was fortunate enough to get into the competitive schools that I wanted to, this put a lot of stress onto me, and I don't recommend starting that late to anyone. But that wraps up my bit of advice for people preparing for college admissions. You guys got this, and I'll see you later.